So I got a big problem here. My legs are on one side, my chest is here, my eyes are blocked by his body. He's got my arm in my throat. I mean, I'm in a real puzzle that I don't know where I'm at.
Where was the choke on the artery? Like where was
right
the choke?
Right on the artery. And it was the most peaceful thing. What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael. He's Daniel. Partner, where should we begin?
Oh, man. I think the only place we can begin, Chael, is Costco. It's been determined that we both love it. I mean, I love the pinwheel sandwich. And I hear yesterday, you experienced. Bro, I wish I could have saw your face when you bit into that chicken bake.
It was so good. It smelled so good. Then they had some offering. You got a hot dog and a drink, and it was for like $1.25. I could not believe it. Inflation's hit everyone in the world except the line at Costco. I must tell you, I was rather impressed with that business.
Yeah, it's a great business. Inflation's hit Costco and the Masters. Yo, the Masters, they're still selling all their concessions for like $2.25, like they're in the 70s. So it's like, in Costco, like $1.25 for a Coke and a hot dog. Costco, good job, buddies. Good job. You really have gimmicked the game. All right, chill. So off the Costco subject, big news, right? We both love Costco, but even bigger news, the UFC has announced that Weili Zhang is going to fight Valentina for the flyweight championship in the co-main event of Makhachev versus Della Maddalena. Now, I get that these fights on paper represent two of the best fighters in the world, and it's guys trying to make history in Islam and Jack trying to stop the unstoppable Islam, Weili trying to become a champ in the second division. But to me, it represents something a little bit different, Chill. To me, it feels like when Ilia gave up his belt, you started to kind of sense that the champ era might be coming to an end. Like the simultaneous champ, the Conor McGregor, DC, Henry, and freaking Amanda Nunes. It seemed like that era, it might be coming to an end. This news solidifies that for me. Islam having to give up the belt because Ilia was going to fight, I understood a little bit more. But now seeing Weili do it, especially when there's no clear Ilia, right? Being Islam giving it up, Chelsea, there was a clear Ilia Topuria to step in. Now Mackenzie Dern is fighting Vina Jandiroba, no disrespect to them. But there's no Ilia. But making her give it up tells me that era's over, Chelsea. Do you feel the same way?
Yes, I do. And I must tell you, as a fan, I like it. Daniel, here's the thing. I don't overly care. Any sport you want to talk about, I don't overly care what the rules are as long as they're consistent. As long as everybody's playing by the same, and I just got to tell you, we've had some rare opportunities where somebody got to go to champ status, but there was a bad news. The bad news never got promoted and never got advertised, which is it slows one division down. It can slow one division down for 4 to 6 months. And when you've got those young athletes, men and women, any weight class you're talking about, that have a goal and they have a dream, and all of a sudden, it's frozen. They're frozen out because their champion has gone somewhere else. I love the idea of collecting hardware. I will tell you, as an athlete, I really respect it. And these 2- and 3-time champions, I really do respect it. But you got to burn your ships. I maintain for you to this day, the reason Volkanovski did not beat Islam is because he didn't give his belt up. And win or lose, when he's faced with his darkest moment, win or lose, he wakes up the next day champion of the world. His next fight is for the world championship because he's bringing it. If you're sincere, Daniel, if you really believe that you're the best, there is one way to prove it. Walk away from the belt. It's the ultimate sign of sportsmanship, but also of sincerity in your own mission.
Yeah, and confidence, right? The idea that, yo, I know, because, Chael, you're right, man, to know, well, win or lose, people say I have nothing to lose in a lot of instances. But to literally have nothing to lose in the sense that you're still the champion does make it a little bit of a softer landing. And you're right. Maybe that was part of it. I don't know if I agree on Volk because I know that he's so good and he almost won the first time. But I could see your point.
Well, Daniel, let me ask you, from a personal level, you were the light heavyweight champion. They bump you up to heavyweight. Now, all of a sudden, you got a chance at gold. But what if? What if that was contingent on you had to drop the lightweight championship? Would have you done it?
I don't know. That's the thing, right? That's a very good question because everything you said applied to me. Where it was like, Stipe's the best heavyweight of all time, they're calling him. If this guy somehow beats me, I'm still a light heavyweight champion. I just go back down and I defend the belt somewhere else. And I know that at some point, I'm going to have a massive fight against John Jones because eventually he will come back and I'll make a boatload of money. So it made it easier to accept the idea that I was going to go up and fight this dangerous fight. Now, once I won, there was no way I was going back down to 205. But to go there and know that if push come to shove, I lost, I would still have the Jones fight. I would still have another title defense at light heavyweight. There was just so many soft landing, right? We are more willing to do things when we know the fall isn't going to be so severe. If I tell you, Chael P, you and I have two options to fall. One, you could fall on a mattress, and while you're falling from high, it's still going to hurt. But then your other option is to fall and break all your bones. You're going to be like, well, I'd like to fall on the mattress with the idea that just maybe I don't kill myself. That's what it was like when they asked me. But everyone now is just willing to give up the belt. Why? Why do you think it's come so easy to these athletes to say, okay, if that's what I have to do, take that belt, I'm going to go chase another one?
Daniel, I feel like I have the answer. Looks at nothing retires an athlete from wrestling, from boxing, or from MMA more than making weight. Nothing. Guys will grab a microphone, they'll retire, and my time's behind us, or the contract up, or is Dana, I want to thank you for the great memories. But what they're really saying is, I don't want to live the lifestyle required to beat that damn scale. I think that your coach, John Smith, would have stuck around another cycle if somebody had told him it's okay to go to 149 and a half. I mean, just for example, nobody ever talks about it. Nobody's ever retired and said, I don't want to weigh in again. But it's what they mean. It's exactly why they step away. It's not because they're done or they missed the lifestyle or their body's even gotten too old. That nonstop 24-hour-a-day lifestyle that's required to be in a calorie deficit while training hard. So I'm going a roundabout way, but I hope you understand I'm answering your question. Ilia Topuria did not want to make 145 pounds anymore. That was the point of him moving up to 155. Now, Islam has not given us that much info. Islam's actually said, I'm interested in going back to 55. I just suspect as a viewer, once he smells the air at 170 pounds, once fight week rolls around and his mouth isn't completely dry and his attitude isn't grumpy because he's in a calorie deficit, I don't think he's going to return to 155. So I don't know that these guys are so willing to do it, but there is something to be said. And people change the verbiage. People want to be 2-time and 3-time and 4-time UFC champions so much that they lie about it, and they've even got announcers lying about it. If you defend a title, you are not a 2-time champion. You must win a different belt or lose the belt and return to get it again. When you defend it, Matt Hughes was the first one to claim, I'm a 5-time champion. No, you're not. You won it and you defended it, and it's a great accomplishment, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. Yeah. Chill. So let me ask you this. I know you didn't love the 2-division champion because of the strain it put on the divisions, but did that help to propel the sport forward? The visuals of the Conor McGregors and myself and Henry and Amanda, when something that seemed so impossible became a real thing and started to happen so frequently. Because, Chael, becoming a UFC champion in any regard, to me, is impossible. Those people that have won those belts are so special. Or people that even fought for those belts are so special. And you and I both know how hard it is to accomplish it. To do it in 2 divisions. Did that help to move the sport forward at all?
Oh, I think that it did. I think the posters were awesome, by the way. I think it's one of the reasons that Ilia Topuria is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. If we had done things exactly like we done them, but we signed paperwork in a different order, Ilia would have a 45-pound title, a 55-pound title, and a BMF title. We have never had somebody with 3 championships, and I do think that sticks out. I do think the Rankins committee had to take that into consideration. Yes, the double champions has been good for the sport. A champion versus a champion is a wonderful thing. It reminds me of Warrior versus Hogan. But there is an underbelly to that, which is the locker room, which is the morale, which is a lot of people that sigh and say, I just want my opportunity for 1 belt. Here, this person's the leader of my division, and they're going for 2. It creates a bit of an envy, but there's a reason that envy is one of the deadly sins.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because everybody has the same goal, but at times, some people just kind of fish or chase down that second one. And when they do, it's great. But we also got to remember so many failed, Chael. It wasn't like this was a 100% thing, right? We watch TJ Dillashaw try to do it. Izzy Adesanya tried to do it. We saw many people try to do that, but not everybody was able to get it done. But you know what's the other side of the two division thing, Chael? There's always that willing champion that is standing there waiting, right? Stipe, heaviest guy in the world. There was nowhere else for him to go and challenge. So he was just there waiting for me. Jack Della Maddalena is just sitting there waiting for Islam Makhachev to come up and try to become a two-division champion in the UFC. Jack Della Maddalena, though, has done things recently to really help improve his overall game. One of those things being bringing in Craig Jones. Chill. This time, though, he's bringing in Craig Jones, but not for 2 weeks. He's bringing him in for 3 months. How much is it going to benefit him to have a guy like Craig Jones in the camp, but in the camp full time?
Confidence. It will add a level of confidence. I experienced this for the first time. I get a call from you. You say, hey, we got to get down to the ATM. We both got to chip in some money. But there's this guy. His name's Buchecha. He's 23 years old, and people don't know him. But just trust me. This guy's he's really going to show us something to work at. And we go down there, and we rotate on him, and he wears us both out. But that was a big eye-opening for me. I didn't know that level existed. I didn't know some of these positions that you were in danger, and it changed me. That one workout with you and Buchecha made me come home and reevaluate, and I could only imagine, I mean, Craig, for what that is of being on the ground and trying to submit a guy or trying to slip out behind him, he is the best. He is the best on the planet to do it. So if Della Lema can get down there and he can just experience that, it will, at least in theory, remove a little bit of fear. If you could ever find a practice environment that's more difficult than the event is going to be, that's the ultimate situation as athletes. We're willing to pay a lot of money and sacrifice a lot to create that so that the event is actually kind of a step down, if you will. And as far as being on the ground, there's nobody more dangerous that I know of than Craig Jones.
Yeah, so Craig Jones will help him prepare for the grappling, for the wrestling. But does that, because he's very unorthodox, Chael. He's very unorthodox. He's got a lot of tricks. He's insane on the ground. But does that prepare you for the type of wrestling that Makhachev brings to the ring, to the octagon? That's the issue, right? Because while Craig Jones is very diverse in his attacks, Islam is pretty straightforward. It's a lot of pressure, it's toughness, it's physical. Can that help him prepare for what Islam brings to the octagon?
Well, again, I got to just go with mentally. Mentally, I think it could add a confidence, but the physicality side of it, I mean, this has been the question that we've been debating in the octagon as the proving ground since 1993. Like, what submissions work when strikes are involved? What submissions do you need to throw out of the way when strikes are involved? It's one of those things, and Islam is very different. I mean, he's very blue collar. He's going to get you down kind of like a wrestler, kind of workman style. I don't know that I believe in any system where Islam is likely to be caught in a submission. But if Craig is spending his time with Jack and showing him how to be slippery down there, how to slide out, how to arm drag, take the back, come up with reversals, that I do believe can work. I can go back to a fight in my head. It was BJ Penn versus Matt Hughes. And Matt sat up big, and he comes down with this big elbow like he did in every other fight. And BJ comes out the back, but he does it with the opposite arm. We're all watching going, man, that's junk. Before you know it, BJ had his back, and he choked him out. So I only suggest for you, in the world of jiu-jitsu, there is very helpful techniques, and they're not all submission-based. I like the escapes, and I like the reversals more than I like the idea that Jack is going to finish Islam.
I think Jack Della Maddalena, where it could potentially help him is causing actions. Because when you're grappling with Islam, he's so heavy on top, right? And he has so much pressure that people don't move. And we saw that against Moicano last fight. We saw it against Volk when he was able to get him. Actually, Volk was able to move under him. So that's why it became very hard for him. But we saw it against Moicano. We saw it against Charles Oliveira. We saw it against Dustin. When they get down and they can't move, they suffer or they struggle. What I think Craig Jones will help him with those unique abilities is causing motions where they're not just flat on the ground. Because for Jack Della Maddalena to be laying flat on his back, he is for him to be losing that fight. And when you're losing and Islam's on top of you, it gets worse and worse and worse. Then you end up in an arm triangle, or you end up in a Darce choke. You end up in submissions. I mean, he's finished the last, I don't know, the only person that hasn't been finished in the last 7 fights is Volk in fight number 1. So he's not only winning fights, he's finishing fights. And for the most part, he's able to impose himself on his opponents. And because of that, they really struggle, Chael. Like, they can't move. But Volk moved, right? Volk did move. And Volk caused issues to the point that in round 5, Alexander Volkanovski was on top of Islam, and he was the one controlling from the top position at the end of the fight. But he had Craig Jones in his camp. When you watch Jack, does his game look anything like Volk's game? Because now you got a bigger guy, right? Volk is smaller. Now you got a bigger guy that's training the same things, and they're going to try to implement it. Or do you think Volk's base is just so different that that's what ultimately led to him having that type of success?
When I look at all those finishes by Islam, and even if I bring in the first fight with Volkanovski, which went to a decision, I still come to the same outcome, which is this is energy-based. These techniques and these arm triangles, these rear naked chokes, these are not some fancy things that Mr. Nurmagomedov, rest his soul, passed down. These are basics. It's the basics that win championships. But when you get a guy like Islam that's got that gas tank and he's got that energy to be throwing it at you nonstop, there is a point where a fighter will say, how bad do I want to get out of this? If I get out of this one, he's just going to put me in another one. If I get out of this round, the next round, I'm going to be more fatigued. It's a negative. It's the battle we have with ourselves, but it's still very realistic. And when I see Islam catching guys and submitting them, I don't view Islam as a Buchecha or as a Craig Jones, but I do view him with the same light that Khabib had, that Georges St. Pierre had, that Daniel Cormier had, that Randy Couture had, which is I can bring a pace to you that I'm going to weaponize. And that, partner, is where I feel that Jack can hold up. I think Jack offers that same pace. I think it's the biggest thing everybody's missing about this match. Forget the punches and the kicks. Can you be around 25 minutes in? Can I be around 25 minutes in? And both of these athletes, the answer is yes. And that's what makes for great contests.
Yeah, that makes for great fights. And also, I just want to see how Islam handles the bigger guy, right? We know he can do it at 155, but let's see how he handles a guy as big as Jack Della Maddalena. This fight's interesting, man. I can't wait. And this whole Craig Jones thing adds a whole layer to the fight. Speaking of Craig Jones, man, yo, what happened? I buried the lead. What happened? Chael, man, I'm watching you grapple. I mean, you look phenomenal. You're in great shape. You take his ass down right the way we're supposed to be. We're in side control. You're safe. What happened?
I appreciate you saying that because it's called side control. I've been at this for 20 plus years as a professional. You're not in trouble when you're in side control. And I'm even thinking to myself, like there's these forums online and the kids all get together and it's going through my mind. They're going to be so impressed that I got to side control on Craig Jones. Now, Craig Jones he wanted a few minutes. He wanted this match to go and he apparently did not respect his own hold. It was called a buggy choke. He thought that I was okay. Now, I got to tell you, all I can hear is my coach Fabiano saying in my ear, and this is way back to when I was a little kid, if you're ever getting a choke, relax. You got to relax. Be calm. So I got a big problem here. My legs are on one side. My chest is here. My eyes are blocked by his body. He's got my arm in my throat. I mean, I'm in a real puzzle that I don't know where I'm at.
Where was the choke on the artery? Like where was the choke?
Right on the artery. And it was the most peaceful thing. Like a guillotine can kind of hurt, or a rear naked, there's a little bit of a panic. This was the most peaceful. And I never went out. I know that it looks like I did, but I'm telling you, I was there
you went
the
out,
whole time.
Chill.
Like
when we go out, we don't know we went out. We feel like we didn't go out. Chill.
That's right.
You moved. The way you moved, it was a split second, but when he released whatever hold that was, I saw you kind of come back, Joe P. I think you went out, my brother. I just got to tell you the truth.
Well, and Daniel, I can accept that. I'm just saying, like, I felt like I was there, but I could hear Big John. I could hear Big John say, Craig, he's out. Let go. I could hear all of these things. It's just my body couldn't move. And then when you do come back around, then you've got like this time lapse about, oh my God, how long have I been out? What has happened? And the whole thing's very weird. I come home to my wife. My wife gives me a hug at the door. Both our kids are there. So she whispers into my ear, "You didn't make that first one look very real." And it's like, oh my. So now she's just opened the door. She's just opened the door for me to slide into. It was a performance. I was fine. Elbow and a wink. And I don't know how to take it. But as a competitor, it's like, nah, I can't do that. I mean, the rules are the rules. He got me fair and square. And it turns out he got me twice.
I would have told her that he cheated. I would have been like, he cheated. I would have found a way to say that he cheated. He cheated me in there because, dude, it's like you get in there in a wrestling match, right? We could take these guys, Chael, and their idea of wrestling is defend single leg, defend double leg, defend high crotch, those things. When I start wrestling these guys inside the octagon and I'm kicking their feet and I'm picking them up and putting them down and move, that's not part of the rules, Chael. Nobody else does that. We don't know. I don't know what Craig Jones did. I'm watching this. I'm like, well, how did he get him? I'm like, Chael, move. Because I could sense. So crazy. At first, I was like, okay, he's good. He's in side control. But I could sense, like, something's happening. I don't know what's happening, but his legs start to go up above your shoulders. He's holding you. I was like, wait, something's happening. And I'm not sure Chael recognizes how bad this is. Because I was like, he's moving up on his body. It was like watching a cobra or an anaconda start to kind of go around their prey. And the poor prey, you know the capybara. The capybara in Brazil gets eaten by the anaconda. It starts to kind of go around him slow. And then all of a sudden you go, oh my God. Chael, that was you, my brother. You were the capybara. You were the capybara that was just unaware of the fact the anaconda was getting you.
Daniel, Bopo sends me a message right after that match, and he goes, "Wow, coach, what an impressive way to get out of that choke." And it kind of felt like that, like, Craig, I don't know where we're at here. Like, if you want some minutes out of me, I'm your guy. I'm here to grind. I'm even aware in the back of my head there's probably going to be a JOB done at some point. But you put me in something called a buggy choke. Anything about a buggy? Where am I going to learn a buggy choke? You know, I would. There's ways out of that from our world. There's ways that we have to defend that. He's very tricky, man. And if I can just tell you this about the event, but they had a special energy in that building. It really was like, you know, Craig's kind of formed this cult of these Craig Jones. They knew when to cheer. They knew when to boo. They knew what to support. It really was an awesome event. I at least owe it that.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was awesome. You're the ultimate showman, and you go out there and you put on a show. I mean, you literally can make me believe you're gonna win at anything. I thought I saw Tito Ortiz say you guys are gonna wrestle at Real American Freestyle, and I immediately started thinking back, Chael gonna beat this dude because Chael, I've seen you pin him before. If I've seen you pin him before, I hope you pin him next time.
Daniel, I'm not positive that Tito understood what Real American Freestyle is, and I mean that respectfully. I don't know that he's ever had a freestyle match. If he had one as a cadet, a junior, a university, I don't know about it. And I'm thinking, Tito, this might be better if in friendship, we just go in the back, you get 30 seconds on top, I get 30 seconds on top. Yeah. Let me just show you
Otherwise, you're gonna
what
get
it
destroyed.
is that you're asking for.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna get just mollywopped. It can be so bad. Chael, put it on him. I don't mind. I like Tito, but put it on him, Chael. In this world, we got to take the wins when we get. When we get to our age, like I told someone one time. I told this to an Australian kid fighting in the UFC. He was talking about being a wrestler. I go, well, if I ever saw you on the bracket at the World Championships, I thought I had a bye. I mean, you wrestled for Australia. I figured I had a bye if I had you in the first round of a World Championships. You're always praying for the Australian guy. All right, Chael, but let's get back on topic. Two guys fighting this weekend in Paris, the City of Lights, Ciao Borralho and Nassourdine Imavov. It's the city of love, brother, but there will be no love in that octagon come Saturday. Here's the deal, though. These guys are in a very unique situation. We've talked about this so many times about middleweight. We talked about what you have to do to solidify yourself as a number one contender. Here's the problem. I don't know that they can do anything to completely solidify themselves as a number one contender. Why? Because they're first. Every time you're first, you get the opportunity to make an impression. But then the guy that goes second gets to come behind you and do it a little better. How in the world can these two keep the winner of Fluffy versus De Ritter from jumping them when they fight in Vancouver next month?
I was in Chicago. I was checking in on Bopo while he's in the middle of a weight cut, and Caio is in there doing a workout, and he interrupts his workout, and he yells to me, Chael. I look up, and he says, Ciao Borralho. And I was like, Ciao Borralho, I got it, no problem. Like, moving forward, I'm working on this name, but I don't miss his name on purpose. It's not out of disrespect, Daniel. I got to share with you, I think this might be the boogeyman at 185. I mean, for years, we were told it was Chimaev.
Ciao Borralho.
Was the guy.
What did he say, Chael? Why, well, you called him Ciao Borralho.
All he said was his name, but he enunciated it correctly. Ciao Borralho, because I always say
there it is.
Ciao Borralho or something like this.
Bow Chow. You called him Bow.
But I was trying to let him know, like, I don't get it wrong out of disrespect. I'm well aware of your skill set. It's just a little bit of a tricky name. But people are saying at 185, right? Everything we've been told that's Chimaev for the last 4 or 5 years, that's the real champion. That's the one you want to avoid. That's the one you hope when Dana calls you, he's not going to offer you. A lot of the middleweights are now saying that about Caio. And I was really very impressed that he built this reputation. You know, this guy used to be a chemistry and math teacher. A lot of people don't know that, but that's what he used to do. Right out on the streets of his neighborhood, he was known to be so good at chemistry and mathematics, kids would come over, knock on his door, and get private tutoring. I just share with you, he's an interesting guy. He's also a leader of one of the most interesting facets in the history of MMA, these fighting nerds. He's got a lot on him. I believe that Imavov versus Caio is for the true #1 contendership. But to your point, Fluffy Hernandez and RDR is looking to come in and steal that thunder. So I think that they need to go out, not only have the best performance, but they need to grab that microphone and they need to solidify in everybody's minds, I am next, whichever one of these killers it is. But they need to make it very clear to not ask for the opportunity, but rather to demand that they're next for Chimaev.
And take it. They have to take it. They have to get out there and take it. But let me tell you something about Nassourdine Imavov, how this dude has worked in silence. And it's so true to who he is because he's quiet. He's like a silent assassin, great striking. Now he can wrestle. Joaquin Buckley. Chris Curtis draw. Loses to Sean Strickland. After that loss, he beats Roman Dolidze, Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, then Israel Adesanya. All back-to-back since losing to Sean Strickland. This guy has put together starting to build a resume that honestly should be good enough to be fighting for the belt right now when the champion doesn't have an opponent. But like you said, we are in a different era of middleweights right now. We're in the most deep era in the UFC history in terms of the middleweight division. How do they get it done? How do they have to make themselves so valuable that they cannot be denied?
All right,
I don't believe it can happen this weekend, Joe. I just think that the potential for something so explosive in Vancouver is so great that in a month, right, it'll be hard to go, well, remember what happened in Paris? Everybody else is going to kind of move on to the next thing. It's the sadness in MMA today opposed to what we had back when we were going. Joe, remember in the beginning, it was like one a month. That person lived in everybody's mind for a month until the next one. It's just a week now.
I love what you're saying, Daniel. And just to remind you to strengthen your argument about Fluffy Hernandez and RDR, but the all-time UFC record for wins in a row before you got a shot at the title is owned by Merab, and Merab had to beat 10 men. But in all fairness to that record, he never would have had it if he was willing to fight Aljo. Dana was on board at fight number 6. So it was one of these situations where if Fluffy Hernandez isn't next, if his fight with RDR isn't next, then he's going to be 10 in a row and he's going to have to push this all-time record, which I think is fairly unlikely. However, and I do get your point, like even a court of law will allow the defendant to go last. There is something powerful about being the final image, but Ciao Borralho weighed in. History says the backup fighter gets to go next. Now, in this case, he already had a signed contract, so he honored the weigh-in. He flew out to Chicago. We went through the training camp. He got licensed. He beat the scale and is going to catch another plane, do another weigh-in after another training camp to get in there with Imavov. I mean, Dana White does recognize those things, not for nothing. The human element is very much there. But it's your fight to lose, and you can screw that up pretty quick. You want to go get into side control. You want to start playing a game where you're eating up clock and you're looking to gain favor with the judges as opposed to go out and finish a contest and show your dominance. Dana White's going to pay attention to that too. But I think the winner of this fight, even if it's short-lived, will be in a very good position to get Chimaev's attention.
Yeah. It's very important for both. I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo on this weekend's parade because it's just a tremendous event, a tremendous fight. And every time they go to Paris, chill, my name's Cormier, so I got a little French in me. I might have a little French in me too, so I'm fancy. I like croissants. I don't even call it croissants like you Americans. I call it croissants. So I got a little French in me. So I'm excited about what happens this weekend, and we'll see what happens.
Are you going live? Are you going to be on the call?
No. I'm not going to Paris. I've never been to France. Have you?
I used to go to the Henry Deglon Challenge. Nancy Schultz would take me every year. So I used to go to Nice, France every year about this time.
Hey, Nancy Schultz was living in the Bay Area when I came to AKA. She was like, I had no idea Dave Schultz lived in San Jose.
I did not know that either. Nancy Schultz is currently
here, yep.
She's currently my neighbor. Nancy Schultz is 20 minutes that away now.
So she lives up there now?
Yes.
Nice.
The queen of wrestling.
The queen of wrestling. My man. Chael, enjoy your weekend, my brother. Another great show. You are the man, boy. Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Can you believe that Craig Jones would tap me out of that? There is no honor in that. And by the way, I didn't even tap out. I'm not sure that I wasn't fine. That's a way of calling possum. I was relaxing like I was told to do. The referee stepped in. I'm not blaming anybody. It's open to interpretation. But to make believe that that's a loss, not here, not on the streets, which is my kingdom. Goodbye, Daniel.